Well, let's now cross live to Adamawa, specifically to Yola, where our correspondent Mary Chinda is standing by. Of course, she did monitor the supplementary elections in the state. Mary, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program. Well, bring us up to speed with regards to what's going on in Adamawa State, especially as it pertains security in the state, because going into the polls today, there were reports that, Yola was quite tense, especially as it concerns the governorship race in that supplementary elections. Well, it seemed like so we have Mary. Mary, if you can hear me, I was asking about the update from Yola, especially as it pertains security.
Oh yes, good evening, Amaka. Yola was not quite tense as whatever report is that says that Yola has basically been very peaceful as regards this, as far as this supplementary election is concerned. Now, yesterday I did bring you reports that the police had actually said that over 1,000 security men have been deployed and 10 at least to each polling unit. We have 69 polling units across the 20 out of 21 local government areas where this supplementary election is holding, and a visit to a couple of polling units, especially in Yola North here, showed that there was such an avalanche of security men. Now, we're talking about men of the Nigerian Police Force, men of the Federal Road Safety, even the NSCDC, and of course, men of the Nigerian Army were on ground to ensure that there were no issues of violence. So the story about Yola being tense is largely untrue, with everything that Arise TV has actually observed all through the day. Now, as early as 8 a.m., some 8:21, some 8:30 a.m., the INEC officials had arrived at a lot of the polling units that were visited, and the beavers was being used to accredit voters. There were no stories of glitches with the beavers, so the accreditation process was actually very smooth, and voters had actually gone into the business of the day, which was voting. Now, I did report yesterday that the feel that Adamawa people have is that of, we just can't wait for our votes to count. In other words, they believe in this election. There was no issue of voter apathy. So we would give INEC a lot of kudos, because I think they're putting a lot of work. And of course, the giant political parties, the two giant political parties here, two or three giant political parties in this state, are putting a lot of work to ensure that these voters, whatever electorates would be voting for them, would come out en masse and then vote for the candidate of their choice. So voter apathy is not the situation right here in Adamawa State. Of course, you know that for this particular election, 37,000 registered voters were, expected to be part of those making the decision for who the new governor-elect of the state would be. 32,429 out of those voters were actually voters who had actually collected their PVCs and had to turn out to vote today.
Okay, Mary. Thank you, Mary. That was quite interesting. Now, we heard reports of vote buying in Kebbi. Did you notice any such, anything like that in Adamawa? Do you have anything to tell us about vote buying, vote selling and buying?
Well, vote selling and buying is not exactly the situation here in Adamawa State. We spent a generous amount of time visiting a couple of polling units since morning, and voters were behaving themselves, conducting themselves in a very orderly manner. We also found election observers from both the PDP and the APC and a couple of other parties, but there were no issues of vote buying or vote selling. Now, I tell you that the body language of the people of Adamawa State is that of, you cannot buy my vote. This vote is mine, and I have a right to decide who my next governor would be. So the issue of vote buying is not exactly the situation right here in Adamawa State, especially for the polling units that we visited. Now, at one of the polling units, however, in Ajia Ward, Unit 004, where Arise TV crew were at about 12 12:01 this p.m. this morning. The only glitch that we had observed there, I mean, just something that would have looked like a pocket of violence, was the issue of an old man of about 90 who was going to vote, and because he was frail and old, he needed to be accompanied, or he tried to be accompanied by his son, you know, into the polling booth, and the security forces had actually repelled him and turned him back along with his son. And as soon as that was done with, I mean, every other thing went on smoothly.
Mary, we're definitely glad to hear the reports that Adamawa was largely peaceful, of course, from where you did observe. But right now, as it stands, results from what we found out have started trickling in from some polling units where, of course, this supplementary elections did happen. So what do we know, especially from INEC, when they will announce the final outcome of the polls? Do we have a time frame as to when this should be expected?
Well, as I speak to you, as early as 5 p.m., some journalists started making their ways to the collation center, but however, we were turned back and told to come back later. Now, as I speak to you, the collation center is actually open for collation to begin from this night. So, I mean, we're just going to keep our fingers crossed and, of course, bring you details as the results begin to get collated.
Thank you very much indeed, Mary. Thank you very much indeed, Mary. Thank you for that update.